Eric Beganian, Zenny62 vlogger on the Raiders and the NFL, put out now 20 minutes ago that Maxx Crosby was the focus of a failed physical, and therefore the Ravens backed out of the trade. And as that was happening, then I got a call from Melissa Rubin, who is our Baltimore Ravens fan, vlogger, who said, "Hey, this deal is dead." And it still hasn't exactly blown up the internet yet, but it's happening slowly. For example, let me show you what Max Raider put out. Their Raiders fans still so happy, like this man, that the deal fell through this way. I feel sorry for Max because he didn't want to leave the silver and black, but when they asked him to basically, uh, you know, they put him on injured reserve. Uh, Caleb says, "I swear the Raider is always going to Raider just when the season was going smooth." Well, I don't know that I look at it that way because, and this is unfolding, but let me just get this out. First of all, yeah, yeah, you're right. Because now that the deal fell through, guess what? The Raiders no longer have that extra draft pick. Dope. So the Raiders were sitting pretty with uh, 2 picks in the first round this year and 97. Okay. And now that's dead because the Ravens said, well, Max failed his physical.
97.
Uh, and so uh, I'll repeat, they had 2 draft picks this year and then 2027. I believe I actually said 97. 2027, first round NFL draft. Those deals are dead. Okay, dead. And the Raiders are not entirely in a bad situation with respect to free agency because they've made a number of great additions to the team. But the prospect of having the opportunity to get Fernando Mendoza #1, which is locked because the Raiders are already in the #1 position for the 2026 NFL draft. But then to add to that, wow, this man says, I think the Ravens just had buyer's remorse. And I'll have to look at that. I'll have to find on live stream what you're saying there because it fades out here, unfortunately. Let me go and find the channel so I can get what you're saying. But this is a wild, wild, wild surprise for for myself and a number of people that he failed the physical. And there's no other way to put it than someone didn't on the Raiders end didn't do their due diligence to make sure that when they were providing him as as a trade um, a trade value uh, uh, offering to make absolutely certain he was healthy, right? So, geez, Louise, as my viewer said, the Raiders are going to Raider. In other words, the Raiders are going to make their mistakes continuously. So, oh, that's a mess. I mean, the Raiders were staring at having one of the best NFL draft first rounds, if not the best, in our team's storied history. Now we're looking at Fernando. But that doesn't mean that some other kind of deal can't be made through this free agency period. The week is still young, right? But my God, what a boneheaded thing to happen. It just is. And maybe also it's karmic because I don't believe Crosby should be anything other than a Raider. I think Maxx Crosby is one of those people that came into the 4th round, was delighted to be with the silver and black, played his ass off, you know it and I know it, really contributed to the team's DNA, enhanced it, made the Raiders a team that people wanted to root for and be a part of, and yet they were going to get rid of him and send him to the Ravens? It just didn't click in my head. It didn't click in your head. A number of Raider fans were just sad about it, and they turned around and thought, well, hey, at least we get these picks, right? Not anymore. Not anymore. And so now the other issue is, okay, what happened in the physical? Why did the physical fall through? Let me see what's being said here. I believe Yahoo Sports had it in full. So let's see what's going on with Yahoo. And we can get some idea there. It might be Charles Johnson, who generally is pretty good at picking those things up. All right. Yahoo Sports. And wow, this is something else. Yahoo Sports. Click on Yahoo Sports here. And we have, yep, there's front and center, folks. Maxx, right here, right there. See, there he is, okay? Raiders say Ravens have backed out of Maxx Crosby trade. That's the headline, okay? That's the headline. And then blockbuster trade reportedly off is the subheadline. And it reads, on a busy day in which many players change teams, the deal sending Maxx Crosby to Baltimore has reportedly been nixed due to a failed physical. Catch up on the action here. Let me click on that. And wow, this is something else. And so Romeo Doubts reportedly agrees to deal with Patriots. That's another deal. I'm not concerned about that. All right. Then it reads, on Tuesday night, the Raiders suddenly announced that their trade that sent Maxx Crosby to Baltimore was off. The Raiders only said that the Ravens had backed out of the deal. Monday's action kicked off with the news that the Dolphins released Tua. We know all that. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, we know all of that. Tell me the Raiders about that's it. Okay, Ravens back out of Maxx Crosby trade 55 minutes ago by Ryan Young. Well, the Maxx Crosby trade is apparently off. The Raiders announced on Tuesday afternoon that the Ravens had backed out of the deal that sent Maxx Crosby to Baltimore. Crosby, according to the Athletics' Diana Rossini, did not pass his physical. Yeah, we said that twice, all right? Now, this has to track back to last year when the Raiders held Maxx out, put him on injured reserve, even though Maxx claimed he was well enough to play. So the fact that he failed his physical means that the Raiders were right all along to hold him out, and indeed were not tanking. In other words, they were not holding out a perfectly healthy Maxx Crosby in order to lose games. They put him on injured reserve because Maxx Crosby was injured. Okay? Maxx Crosby was injured. So that's what we're looking at here. This is an absolutely wild and crazy development. And I'm going to get more information and come back with more on this. But what do you think about this? My goodness. Because all we get right now is repeats of what we know and a lot of comments. But like, for example, 805 replies on Yahoo because, well, there are a web platform that gets favorable Google representation, right? Ugh. Anyway, and also they're first out with us 55 minutes ago. Wow. And thank you, Eric Paganian of Zenny62, for putting out an earlier version of this news. Thank you very much. And I'm going to get you on and see if we can come on a live stream and talk about the implications of just what's happening with this organization and why that sort of thing goes on. All right. And this is the Raiders put on, like here. The Baltimore Ravens have backed out of the trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time. That was at 8:02 p.m. tonight, March 10th. Wow, that's it. We will have no further comment at this time, which means, wow, they're crestfallen, they're heartbroken. I'm going to go to Max's Instagram and basically wait for him to put up something. All right, we'll be